welcome to season 2 of Behind the Wrestler, and the first episode of season 2 is none other than the lovely Delilah. Thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us, and thank you for doing this interview.
You're welcome.
So, first question that you're going to be asked many times, who inspired you to become a wrestler, and when did you decide that you want to become a wrestler?
I think AJ Lee was probably my biggest inspiration when I was like 11, I think, or 12. I decided I wanted to become a diva at the time. Watching her and Nikki Bella and Brie Bella and stuff feud just really inspired me, and she's still probably one of my favorites today.
How did you find out about wrestling in New Zealand? How did you find a school that teaches?
Well, it was a long process trying to convince my parents to let me train. But I actually found Maniacs United online. I was Googling around and I found them like a year before I started training here. And I had their tab open on my laptop all the time. Like, because every day I would try and convince my parents to let me come here. And then when I ended up actually coming, it wasn't wrestling, it was like fighting. And then I ended up doing fighting for like quite a while, and then I started doing wrestling at the same gym.
Trying to convince your parents to become a professional wrestler, how did they take the news of when you told them that I'm going to be a professional wrestler?
I think at first they didn't believe me because I was that kid who like wanted to do a new thing every week. And even I think when I first started training, because my parents wanted me to do some sort of activity because hockey season was over, and I suggested wrestling and they reluctantly agreed. And then when I actually started having matches and stuff, I think that's when my parents actually took me seriously and were like, wow, she actually, this isn't a phase, mum.
First professional wrestling training day, what was the thoughts and the process and everything going through your mind?
I was actually late, which now that I train, I know that's such a bad thing to be on your first training. And then there were I was really intimidated, and all the people at that training now I'm really good friends with, and I'm like not at all intimidated, but on my first training I was so scared of them all. Just taking bumps and everything. Everyone would try and tell me what to do, and it was so overwhelming. But I really enjoyed it. And I remember there was quite a few women there, and I remember just being really excited by that.
So after your first training session was all complete and done and over with, did you still want to continue on being a professional wrestler?
Definitely. I mean, it took me so long to convince my parents that for the first year, I was so keen and into it. I loved it. I still do, but I was way more keen than I am now.
How did all of your training progress leading up to your first match, and how did you feel about your first match and debuting on shows?
That was such a long time ago. I think I always trained quite hard when I first leading up to my first match. And having my first match, I've never been so nervous at anything in my life. I literally couldn't sleep until 4 o'clock every day leading up to my first match, which I had school and stuff, so that wasn't good. And the actual match I think went really well. I mean, when I look back on it, I'm like, oh my god, that's so bad. But considering it was my first match and I was still only a few months really into my training, but the match went pretty good, I think, and I feel good about it.
Who was your very first match against?
It was against Just Plain Evil. It's many of my matches are against.
How do you feel about debuting and wrestling against JPE for the first time?
I found it really exciting because she does actually train me, and she has a lot of knowledge, and she definitely knows what she's doing, and there isn't anybody else who I'd rather have my first match against and who would make me feel as comfortable as I felt.
You two have had, plenty of matches like all over New Zealand, such as for WPW and Hughes Academy. You two have both worked for IPW as well for the Armageddon weekend.
Yeah.
So, leading up to all those matches, which one of that is your most memorable?
Between Just Plain Evil and I?
Yes.
Oh, that's a hard one. Okay, and I reckon the main event for Hughes Academy, I can't remember what the date was, but it's my first ever singles main event, and it was against Just Plain Evil for the Hughes Academy Women's Championship, and I think we just pulled out a lot of new tricks in that match, and it was quite long as well, and just the pressure of it being the main event, and I love that match. I haven't actually seen it, but I loved wrestling in it.
You can see it on Pivot Share.
Yeah, watch it on Pivot Share.
You as your first main event and first title singles match against JPE, leading up to all of that, when you two found out about the match and when the match was announced and stuff, how'd you prepare yourself mentally and physically?
I was very, very nervous because, in my opinion, I'm not that great. I know that sounds so bad, but I don't know if I am in the position where I deserve to be in the main event, which sounds bad, but it's just so much pressure, and in New Zealand there are so many talented and hardworking wrestlers, and just to hear that I was chosen to be in the main event, it was I knew I had to step up my game and put on because I've wrestled Just Plain Evil so many times that I knew this match had to be the best because it was a main event.
Do you think it was the best match you've pulled out so far?
In my whole career?
So far now, yeah.
I'm trying to think now. I think so. Can't even remember any of my matches, but I think that was my best one. I got concussions and all of them probably.
So after you've after you've done your match and all that, you had the chance to also do your first promo package video leading up to that main event. How'd you feel about doing your first promo pack?
It was actually when I was filming it, I was I don't know how this is gonna work out. But then when I actually saw the actual video, I was wow, that's actually professional. I thought it was real cool, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go off track a little bit here. I know that you and Just Plain Evil had the opportunity to meet WWE superstar Sasha Banks when WWE came over to New Zealand to do their live event. So how was that experience, sharing it with also your mentor and your trainer, being there to have that opportunity?
I still don't believe that I met Sasha Banks, because anybody who has talked to me about wrestling, Sasha Banks, at the moment she's my favorite, and she inspires me so much because she was literally in the position that I'm in. And when I heard she was coming to New Zealand, I was so gutted because it's so hard to meet wrestlers in New Zealand. But then luckily, Just Plain Evil hooked me up, and she managed to get me to meet her, and I remember when I saw her, it was like seeing a cartoon character in real life. She was so lifelike, which sounds weird, and she was so gorgeous and she was so nice to me. Having Just Plain Evil there as well, because she has literally been there with me since day one, and she knew what that meant for me. I really appreciated it a lot.
While you were meeting Sasha Banks, did you ask for any advice on, as your wrestling career?
I actually didn't tell her that I'm a wrestler. I kind of just was a big mark who was crying and stuff. But I feel just seeing her and seeing, because if you watch anything about her, when she was younger, she wasn't really anything special, and now seeing her, she's such a star. Like that was just like a massive inspiration to me.
So meeting her, has that motivated you even more to work harder and get to the level where she's at?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like her story, like it's so inspirational, and I would love to sort of embody that as well. Like the girl like next door who like isn't super athletic or isn't born into the industry, but just really has a big passion and ends up actually making it. Yeah, I'd love that to happen. Triple H, if you could just flick me a text and be like, yo, you wanna like get signed?
So with after meeting her and I don't know if you had the chance to go and see the show after meeting her or not, but after all of that stuff progressed on and you came back to training and was getting ready for your next show, how was your mentality going in now after meeting Sasha Banks?
It was definitely more focused, and Sasha Banks is such a big, not a big, but she has like everything she does is like in character, like as the boss, and I think that definitely empowered me to sort of like be myself more when I wrestle and kind of show more charisma.
So after as you said, you're more focused and more ready to go, and you're just focused on the next shows. What is your your ultimate goal as a professional wrestler, and what is some of the things in your bucket list that you would like to tick off?
I think the ultimate goal for me is definitely getting into the WWE. Winning a championship would be great, but I know that I think the big thing for me would just be to debut in the WWE ring. More realistically, I think I would love to wrestle overseas in Australia or Japan or somewhere in Europe. That would be amazing. I think to also wrestle more frequently. At the moment I do, I wrestle like a bit, but I would love to have like a full schedule of like twice or 3 times a month. Be able to wrestle around New Zealand and wrestle different opponents as well. I'm very lucky to have learned a lot from Just Plain Evil, but I think more opponents would be great.
You mentioned you would like to work over in Japan and all of that, so I'm going to bring up a little flashback for you from 2017. I was there with you.
Oh God, I'm gonna get triggered.
And it was probably the worst thing that we've been put through, other than being put through physical and mental stress from our trainers. You and I, had the opportunity to do a New Japan seminar, which they also held tryouts here, which was going to be the Friday, but we had the Thursday evening the opportunity to go and do a seminar. Obviously you were the only woman who was there, and I'm going to be no disrespect to any of the guys that were there and involved, but you outstood all of us and you outworked all of us as being the only girl just on that day. So what was the mentality? What was going through your mind when you found out about the seminar? How did you prepare for it? What did you take away from it? What did you learn?
Yeah, when I first was asked, I was like, is this for real? I thought maybe it was everyone was asked, and so of course I took the opportunity, even though straight away I was intimidated, because New Japan Pro Wrestling, they are notorious for being tough, and as much as I think I'm tough, they are next level 1,000 squats before their matches, oh my gosh. And so I definitely trained harder than I ever have before leading up to that, because I didn't want to look like a fool, even though I still did look like a fool, but definitely hitting the gym like as hard as I could. And actually going into it, I learned that I am the only woman to ever train with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that like just blows my mind. The fact that me, like why me? And the actual training itself was definitely the hardest, like the most my body's ever physically been put through. It was so like my body just like it was almost as if I was having an out of body experience through a lot of it, where you just had to push through, even though like in my mind there's no way in hell I can do like another push up. And you know, you just gotta do it, because these are like this New Japan Pro Wrestling, you know, it's a massive deal. And I think it like taking away from it, like I definitely, it was a wake up call to realize, you know, if I do want to make it to Japan, I really need to, you know, like train harder. Even though I do train hard and I hit the gym and stuff, like that was definitely like way harder than I ever expected. But I also realized that I can do it, and that, you know, I've always like been fit my whole life, but I never really realized like how much I wanted to be a wrestler until I was at that seminar. And you know, just like the mental and the physical like endurance and stamina that I never thought I had before, and you just had to push through. But yeah, it was a crazy, and like I'm so thankful for the opportunity.
You know, you mentioned you were the, you know, first woman to be trained by New Japan, you know, first woman ever.
Only, yeah.
Yeah. So you know, that's a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah.
So you know, are you motivated to be the first woman signed by New Japan?
I don't know if that's possible. If it is possible, that like 100% I would go for that. I don't know if they're having women wrestling anytime soon, but it definitely motivated me to like try and get into Stardom, because they're like a massive promotion over there in Japan, and the matches they put on are just so hard hitting and brutal. And right now, I don't know if I physically can handle that, but I definitely in the future, like that is like a big dream of mine.
You know, you've had multiple opportunities and multiple matches with not just JDE but other individuals as well, such as like Frankie Quinn and Ashley, and you know, you've had the chance to work for IPW for their last show of 2017. When you found out about getting the opportunity to work against Ashley at their last show, Fans Bring the Weapons, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, how'd you feel, and what was the preparation going through your mind?
I was very humbled that they asked me, because that's their biggest show of the year, and considering that's my first ever official IPW show. I mean, I've worked so many Armageddons before. I actually had wrestled Ashley at for the Armageddon Cup before in like a semi-final match. I really enjoyed it, and she's extremely talented and hardworking. And yeah, when I found out that I would wrestle her at their biggest show of the year, it definitely like put everything into perspective, that like I need to train hard to like, because this opportunity will not come every day. And the actual match itself was like, I really enjoyed it, and it was a really good opportunity.
You know, if the opportunity, like you said, it doesn't come every day, but obviously, you know, through hard work and through listening to your mentor and your trainer, you know, you get all these opportunities. You know, if another opportunity comes up to work for IPW, would you take it up?
Yeah, no, I definitely would. I'm very keen to wrestle as much as I can. Like I welcome any challenger. You know, next I'm after Ruben De Jong. I am the giant killer. So, yeah.
You know, when, you know, after all of the the New Japan tryout and all of that stuff was all over with, and you know your IPW official debut for IPW was, you know, done and dusted. How did you feel about the whole experience, and then how did you consult that with your trainer and mentor?
Like all of it, like my whole.
Yeah.
I felt very like humbled and grateful to have this opportunity, because it is like I have been training for 2 years now, but really I haven't even debuted for a year yet, and so to have this opportunity, like just even to, you know, be asked to wrestle at Hughes Academy like often, and you know, having wrestled at Armageddon and New Japan and WPW, like I'm so grateful. And I know as well with my trainer, like we appreciate it, and we understand that it's not like it didn't come for no reason. You know, I did train hard, but you know, people don't have to offer me these things, you know, and I'm very grateful that they do.
What is your favorite? Actually, I'll change that. Who would you like to wrestle in the near future?
Sasha, but more realistically, well, that's a hard one. I'd love to wrestle Candy Lee. I definitely have more people, like James Shaw even, he's really good. I'd love to wrestle Graham Hughes again, that was fun. I can't remember anyone in New Zealand. Brittany, yeah, just anyone really, like I'd love to wrestle anyone.
Is there a special match or a specific match that you'd like to tick off the bucket list?
I've always wanted to do a hardcore match, but that was before I started training, and now I train, I'm like, I think I would want to do it just to say that I've done it, but apart from that, I mean, I love doing intergender matches. Whenever I do one of those, I always feel like good about myself. And a triple threat, I've never done one of those, but I reckon the ultimate one's like a hardcore match.
What is your wrestling goals for 2018? What would you like to achieve in the year 2018? I actually haven't
thought about that one yet. I'd love to win a championship. Finally. I've had a lot of opportunities, but no, I've had so many opportunities, and I've never been able to pull through. I mean, I've been very close, and in my defense, a lot of the time, it's not my fault. But in the next year, I would love to actually capture a championship. That'd be great.
Nice. What is next for Delilah?
Move to New York City. That was a bad joke. Okay. Just win a championship, be awesome, wrestle all around New Zealand. I don't know, just carry on being who I am, and hopefully, you know, people have liked me so far, so maybe they'll like me in the future.
Just before we leave, I'm just gonna sort of take you back to the beginning. How does your parents react to the fact that you've been wrestling for almost a year now?
My dad literally thought I'd been doing it for like 4 years the other day. I was like, are you kidding me? He's like, it feels like you've been doing it forever. But they're very supportive. My dad's never actually seen me wrestle. Kind of reluctant to let him come. But my mom's come to a few. And she's extremely proud of me. It's embarrassing whenever we have people come over. She'll get up all the videos and all the articles and stuff, and it's embarrassing, but I mean, I guess I'm glad that she's supportive.
Thank you very much for taking the time out to do this interview.
What can I say except you're welcome for the time to sun the
and
sky.
Thank you for joining us for Behind the Wrestler. This is episode 1 for season 2.